West Ham United are willing to sell Mohammed Kudus for 100 million in order to fund their January transfer window, which would include the signing of a top-class striker. Those three words are the words that appears to be a bit of a plan from West Ham. And that's where I want to start this video. Whose plan is it? And then we'll discuss the other two parts of, I don't really say transfer rumour. It's not a rumour though, is it? The words are black and white, and they're from David Sullivan, the chairman of West Ham United. So it's hard to take it as anything but a plan. This has to be something that the club are intending / hoping to do in the January transfer window. And it makes sense. It does make sense. Let's face it. Would you accept 100 million from, forget if you think anyone will pay it, would you accept 100 million from Mohammed Kudus right now? I think the majority of us would say yes. So you can understand why the club are perhaps hoping to cash in on Kudus and use it to strengthen the squad elsewhere, including that striker position. But let's go back to the planning part, because this has come from David Sullivan. He let a few people, and one of them being Gonzo, that know that this is the intention. And it gets put out there in public domain. Now, Sullivan knows what he's doing. When he does these things, David Sullivan knows this will end up on certain news websites. It will end up on certain YouTube channels. He can be a little bit daft, David Sullivan, but he's not completely stupid. So when he does it with a purpose. That makes you think, why? I think we know the answer. To put Kudus' name out there, let other people, let other clubs know West Ham are willing to sell Kudus if you bring the money to the table. But is this David Sullivan's plan? Is he taking control and he's decided this is what West Ham are doing? Or is this West Ham United's plan as a whole, which would include Tim Steidten and perhaps a couple of other people having a say, like Mark Noble or Lopetegui? So whose plan is it? Is it Sullivan's or the rest of them? Because very early on this season, the blame game started. We had a bad start to the season, and it came out that, the club weren't very happy with how we spent the money, and they were sort of looking at Tim Steidten and some of the business he had done, the Guilherme one in particular, and the Fulkrug one. I think the club were a bit suspect, if you like, about the fees we'd paid for some players. So Steidten was under the microscope, and Sullivan was very happy to brief people and say, hey, I brought in Somerville. Now, at the time, Somerville was the only player playing really well. So a few months ago, we had this blame game going on. And as supporters, it's easy to put it to one side because we couldn't sign anyone. The window just shut. January seemed like a million miles away, so it was easy to sort of forget about it a little bit. The politics were back. But now with the January transfer window opening up next week, they're back on the agenda again, because we're going to find out very quickly who's in charge of the January transfer window. And the indications via that form of communication from David Sullivan would suggest that perhaps Sullivan is the one taking control of this, and he's maybe back in charge a little bit. We'll discuss that more in just a second. But in terms of the actual transfer rumour then, well, actually, no. The one thing I will say, given that Lopetegui's still under a bit of pressure, and he is, the pressure has been parked for now. We beat Wolves, a better but still long way off the finished article display against Bournemouth. Obviously, sadly, his dad passed away, so I think that gives Lopetegui, and I think it should, give Lopetegui a free hit against Brighton tomorrow. However, we lose against Brighton, we lose against Southampton. Let's make no mistake about it. The pressure to sack Lopetegui is back on, and it's getting ramped up. Because while we've had a couple of decent performances, that's what it's been at best. I think it's been a win and a good 45 minutes against Bournemouth where we've got a good point. I think that's all we've seen. It doesn't take much to undo that good work. I'm very much waiting for... I need a lot more evidence to suggest he can turn it around. So Lopetegui's still under pressure. And going into a January transfer window, usually in the past I'd sit here going, well, hang on a minute, you can't go let the manager spend tens of millions when you may have to sack him the following week. That would just be a stupid thing to do. But under this new model at West Ham of a head coach, you can go spend money. You can go bring in players for the current head coach, because the whole purpose of having this structure is that if you were to sack Lopetegui, the next guy comes in, can use the players that is there for Lopetegui. that you create an identity. Now, of course, we can query whether we've done that or not. And that's a video I'm intending on doing in the new year, what I think is the biggest problem at West Ham United. But my fears I'd usually have of backing an under fire manager in the January transfer window, they're not there anymore. And it's not because I don't think Lopetegui's under fire. He very much is. It's just that he should be easier to replace than any manager we've ever had at West Ham United. If we've done the new structure correct, replacing the head coach becomes easy. Whether we've done it or not, we can debate it. And my answer is no, by the way. I don't think we have. But I'm going to give them the benefit of the doubt, and it should be in place. Now, in regards to the rumour, like I said, it makes sense. If somebody was silly enough to offer us 100 million for Kudus and we accept it, and we go spend it and bring in 2 or 3 top quality players, happy days, it makes sense. But here's the problem. Selling Kudus for 100 million in any transfer window is going to be incredibly difficult. Bringing in a top-class striker is a very difficult thing to do. To do both in the same window is a very, very, very difficult thing to do. To do both in the January transfer window, I'm going to say it's nearly impossible. Because you ain't getting 100 million from Mohammed Kudus. We're not, okay? He was available for 85 million in the summer, and nobody came in and bid for him. Since then, he's had, at the best, an average season. I think he's had a less than average season so far. The red card didn't help, of course, because he meant he missed 5 games. But he's not ripped. He's not lit it up for West Ham this season, has he? Now, I think good scouts would look at what Kudus is doing at West Ham and say, okay, we can use that type of player at our club and we can make him better. And I think they'd be correct. But you don't spend £100 million on a player like you think, oh yeah, we'll take him in and we'll improve him. For 100 million, you want the finished article. You're wanting a world-class player. And he could go on and become one, certainly. But he's a million miles away from that at the minute. And I don't think we're going to see that at West Ham. I don't think we will see the best of Kudus. I don't think we have seen the best of Kudus. We've seen glimpses of it. I don't think we ever will because of Jarrod Bowen. I think Kudus' biggest issue is Jarrod Bowen. His best position may be in a number 10 role in the Premier League. It might be. I don't know. We haven't seen it. But he's not going to get to do that at West Ham, or he would have done it by now. He's had Moyes, now Lopetegui. Neither of them want to play him in that role. There has to be a reason for it. I think his best position, therefore, would be on the right-hand side. And I don't want him on the right-hand side. I want Jarrod Bowen on the right-hand side. So Kudus, I think, is our second-best player. The problem is our best player is in his way. And if I had to sell one of the two of them, it's Kudus all day, every day. And I was a huge Kudus fan pre-West Ham, and I will be post-West Ham. I think if he gets the right move, I think he'll go on and become world-class. And we'll go, oh, if only we had that West Ham. But I don't think we will. Now, I've seen some of the clubs he's been linked to. Man City, listen, they need an overhaul, don't they? They need players, and they need wide players as well. So that move could be on. Liverpool, while the Salah thing is still uncertain, I can't see it. I've still got a feeling that he'll sign a new contract at Liverpool. He might not. They might decide to move him on. And that move then becomes viable for them. But that's not a January transfer window move. If he is going to Anfield, that's a summer move. So park that one. And then Newcastle, and this is the unpopular bit. I think Newcastle would be a fantastic move for him. And I think Kudus would be a fantastic signing for Newcastle. Because they're screaming out for someone on that right-hand side. Gordon on the left, Isak up front. Kudus on the right would be an incredible attack. And we know that Newcastle have been watching Jarrod Bowen for quite some time now. And I think they've given up on him, and good, I hope so. But if you have been scouting Bowen intensely, you'd be foolish not to notice Mohammed Kudus and think, if we could move him over, could we get a better of him? Why St James's Park? Because Newcastle should be going places, given the backing they've got. But not only that, Eddie Howe's improved a lot of players at that football club. A lot of them. Some of them were there before Eddie Howe rocked up, and he's made them better. The players he's brought in, he's improved them quite a lot as well. I think he'd improve Mohammed Kudus. Would he turn him into the world-class player he could become? I don't know. But I think you would see a better Mohammed Kudus at Newcastle United than we do currently at West Ham, because we don't get the best out of him. I don't think that's an outrageous thing to say. I think we should be seeing more of him and we should be seeing better of him, but we haven't been. 100 million, nobody's paying it. Nobody's paying that. They could have had him for 85 million in the summer, and they know if they wait till this summer, they can have him for 85 million again. Is anyone paying an extra 15 million to get him early? No. I just don't see it in a million years. If we were to put Kudus up for sale, would clubs want him? Of course they would, 100%. I'm not even sure you get the 85 million, to be honest with you. I think you're maybe looking around about the 60 million. I think teams would be willing to pay for him, but you're not getting anywhere near the 100. So it's a bit of an ambitious move by West Ham, but I don't mind it. For years, I think we've been crap at selling players. We've been terrified to sell our best players. So to have this attitude of, yeah, you can have one of our best players, but it's going to cost you, I quite like it. I quite like it. Whether we have the ability to get 100 million for Kudus, I don't think we do. But then can we go and use that money, should we get it, to bring in that top-class striker? No, I don't think so. And I'll tell you why. Because I've got little faith in us identifying the correct top-class striker. Because we tried to do it in the summer with less pressure, more money available, more time, and we got it wrong. So it's incredibly difficult to then believe that we would be able to go and get it. I'm more nervous with this hypothetical situation. I am more nervous about replacing Mohammed Kudus than I am about selling Mohammed Kudus. And I think it should be the other way around. I should be afraid because we're ready to sell a fantastic player, but excited because we're going to bring in top talent. But I'm not. Because I think reality is, if it was to happen, we'd be selling a player that could be a fantastic player but hasn't quite done it. And then maybe be a way to waste the money a little bit like we did in the summer. And I don't think we can afford to do neither of those things. Do I believe the plan? Yes, because it's come from David Sullivan. Do I think it'll happen? No, because I think 100 million is a ridiculous price tag to put on Kudus. And do I want it to happen? Yeah, if somebody paid the 100 million, I'd bite their hands off for it. Would I take 60? Probably not. Because I'd be saying to Lopetegui, make him better. Get the best out of him, please. Because then in the summer, he will be worth more. And I know people don't like selling players, and that it becomes a bit of a small club mentality. I disagree. Bayer Leverkusen have this model, this attitude. And they've done all right, haven't they, Bayer Leverkusen? They did all right with it. And I think we're trying to do something similar. It's just that we're not very good at it. Anyway, I'm going to disappear. Thank you very much for joining me. Leave your thoughts in the comments below and I will catch up with you all a little bit later. If you've enjoyed this video, please do drop a like on it though by clicking thumbs up. Helps out the video, helps the channel, makes me smile. And subscribe to Hammers Chat, and I'll catch up with you tomorrow.